Hello, and in today's video we are doing Premier League predictions for match week 8 of the 2022 to 23 season. Before we do get into my score predictions, and I'll quickly look back at how we got on in match week 6, we are going to be, of course, commenting on the very sad passing of Your Majesty, Her Majesty, Queen Elizabeth II. Very, very sad moment, and I think it was fair that the fixtures were postponed out of respect for her passing. So, thoughts go out to the royal family, and she was a fantastic woman. So we've got to, appreciate that with the funeral coming up on Monday. But what a woman, what a life, and just thought I'd, give a shout out to Lizzie there because she's been absolutely immense. So thank you for your reign, and thank you for being so brilliant. But looking ahead to this week, I'm just going to do a little quiz about the match week 8 fixtures. So on the Friday night football, we've got Aston Villa hosting Southampton and Nottingham Forest at home to Fulham. And then the Saturday games are Manchester City at Molineux against Wolverhampton Wanderers, Newcastle United hosting AFC Bournemouth. Also, we've got Spurs hosting Leicester City. And then on the Sunday football, Brentford take on Arsenal in a London derby. And then Everton host the Hammers in that game at Goodison Park. So we're going to start off with this quiz and let's see how many I can get right. So, first of all, we've got Aston Villa versus Southampton. And funnily enough, 7 matches are happening in match week 8 and there's 7 questions. Seems pretty apt. Aston Villa versus Southampton. Which current Aston Villa player has 7 goal contributions in his career against the Saints? Now, I think it might be Leon Bailey, to be fair, but I think if I have to think about this long term, it's probably Felipe Coutinho, so let's go with that. Nottingham Forest versus Fulham. Now, Forest are the only Premier League side to do what this season? Remain winless, score and concede in each match, score an own goal, or face 100 plus shots. Now that's a very interesting one. Remain winless, I know that's very much incorrect because they have won a single game against West Ham. Score and concede in each match, well, they didn't score in their first game against Newcastle, I know that much, so therefore that's wrong. And score an own goal, I mean, no, that's not happened yet, I'm pretty sure. So I would imagine with the defence of Nottingham Forest, they're probably likely to face 100 plus shots. Most of those probably in the West Ham game because of the amount of chances West Ham had that hit the crossbar and things like that. And, Forest just got through that game. I don't know, the gods were in their favour for that 1-0 victory. That felt like it, certainly with the disallowed goal and the Rice penalty. But anyway, I will say face 100 shots. I can imagine it would be that. Okay, Wolves against Man City. Erling Haaland could become the first Premier League player ever to score. It's not 3 hat-tricks in a row because in his last Premier League match, he scored 1 versus Aston Villa. In his first 4 away matches, could be that. 9 goals in his first 7 matches. I'm not quite sure. I think he's on 10 Premier League goals, if I remember rightly. And then 5 goals assisted by the same player. Well, the first player to ever score 5 goals assisted by the same player. I mean, you could say that's Kevin De Bruyne, but it's a tricky one. I mean, you look at Erling Haaland's goals this season. He's scored against Newcastle. He's scored against West Ham. He's scored against Aston Villa. Is that all the away games that Man City have played? It possibly is, So I think it's between B and D. It could be KDB giving those assists. But I don't know. How many goals has KDB set up for Haaland? It's the one against West Ham. It's the one against Aston Villa. But I don't remember as many as 4. So I'm going to go for B in his first 4 away matches. Okay, next up, we've got Newcastle versus Bournemouth. Who has not played under Eddie Howe for both clubs? Now, this is a very good question because obviously Newcastle and Bournemouth have got a lot of, similarities. So, yeah, this is a tricky one. I'm pretty sure that it isn't Dan Gosling because, he's not played for Newcastle in the Eddie Howe reign. Matt Ritchie has been a difficult one because he's been on the bench for a lot, and I'm not even sure if that's the correct spelling of Matt Ritchie. So Premier League, tut, tut, tut. I'm pretty sure it's got a T in Matt Ritchie. But anyway, the point is, I don't believe Ritchie's played that many minutes because of his injuries, but I don't know whether that counts as he's not played under. If he's in the squad, is that playing under him? Callum Wilson, we know, has played under Eddie Howe. So I think it's probably Dan Gosling. Ryan Fraser's played under Eddie Howe. It's between Dan Gosling and Matt Ritchie, but I don't think... Actually, I know that Dan Gosling hasn't because he's been at Watford. So, yeah, I don't know why I even had any... Although saying that, was Dan Gosling ever at Newcastle? No, he wasn't. So it's Dan Gosling. That's obvious. I literally knew that answer, but I was just trying to make sure I knew, but I already did. Spurs Leicester. If Harry Kane scores, whose record of 20 goals against one team in all competitions will he equal? Wow, that's unbelievable. Yeah, he always loves playing against Leicester, does Harry Kane, because he used to play for Leicester, but those goals, Spurs versus Leicester, are often full of goals, those games. Now, I don't know. This is a tricky one, because I look at these players, they've all got very good records. The one I'm tempted and drawn towards is Luis Suarez versus Norwich, but I know that all the other players also had very good records, so this is a really tough one. My gut is saying Suarez. My kind of other parts of my body is saying Rooney against Arsenal. That's a really tricky one, I can't lie. 20 goals, that's a lot of goals. It can't be... I don't think it's Thierry Henry, is it? I don't imagine it is. I mean, he was top scorer, we need to remember, but so was Shearer. It's tricky. This is really hard. This is the hardest one I've faced, and I'm not sure I'm going to get this right, but I'm just going to go for it. I think it's Luis Suarez. I'm going to go with my gut on this one. It could well be Wayne Rooney, but I was just drawn to that one. I know that Suarez had a great record against Norwich, but 20 goals? I mean, how long was Suarez at Liverpool? Not that long. Has he scored 20 goals in that time? Whereas, maybe Rooney scored 20 goals over a long period. Tricky one, that one. I'm going to go Wayne Rooney, actually. I've changed my mind. I'm probably a coward, but let's see. Brentford against Arsenal. Brentford have scored more goals than any other side in the Premier League this season. Ooh. I mean, they score a lot of set-piece goals. They've scored... Well, I say a lot. They've scored against Man United with that Ben Mee goal. But does a penalty count as a set-piece? It does, doesn't it? So... They've scored that free kick last week against Leeds. That's a tricky one, I mean, Ivan Toney has not scored that many penalties this season, I'm pretty sure. He's only scored one, I think, and that was the one against Leeds, if I remember rightly. I don't remember him taking another one. No, I don't think he has. I'm pretty sure he hasn't. Headers is interesting because I feel like they have got a lot of headers of the ball, but they haven't scored that many this season. Outside the box, I'm pretty sure we can rule that one out. So it's between penalties and headers, I think. I mean, corner-wise, the second goal was not a corner against Manchester United. I mean, yeah, that's tricky. That's tricky. I think I'm going to go for from headers, but now I think about it, I think it's from corners, because now I think about it, there was that goal that was against Fulham that Norgard scored from a corner, and I'm pretty sure the Ben Mee goal against United was from a corner. I'm going to go from corners. I think it is. It's a tough one, though. Okay, number 7. The Hammers can achieve what in their league history against the Toffees for the first time? Oh, that's interesting. Well, this is interesting. So West Ham have got a record against Everton. Now, last season, this game finished 1-0 to West Ham with the only goal from Angelo Ogbonna. So it is possible that it's a clean sheet. But why would it be a West Ham achieving a goalless draw? That's not really a momentous thing. 3 consecutive away wins. I mean, they beat They beat West Ham 1-0 last season. The previous season, I seem to remember it might have been a 0-0. So I get the feeling it's 6 clean sheets in a row. I mean, that might not be it, but beat a club managed by Frank Lampard. I mean, they beat... Oh yeah, to be fair, last season that Everton probably had Ancelotti at that point. Yeah, that's a good point. I'm going to go 6 clean sheets in a row. Although saying that, Everton West Ham last season, that might have been the period when Everton didn't have a manager and they had Duncan Ferguson as manager. So it could easily be Frank Lampard. This is another tricky one. But I'm tempted to go 6 clean sheets in a row, you know. I mean, to be fair, if you think about 6 games... Oh, but I feel like Everton have scored in games... Like, Everton beat West Ham, I'm pretty sure, in the 1920 season. That was less than 6 games ago, wasn't it? So you think about this season is 22-23, then 2 games in 21-22, 2 games in 20-21. That's only 4 games in the last 6. I mean, I think surely that's not true. So I believe, strangely enough, that it's beat a club managed by Frank Lampard. That's interesting. Let's see. I'm going to go for that. Here we go. How many did we get right? Oh dear. Good start and a bad finish. You know what? I know I'm going to be kicking myself with those last 3, but let's see how I did on this. So yeah, Coutinho was bang on. 100 plus shots was bang on. First 4 away matches was bang on. Diane Gosling, I was pretty sure about that one. Question 5. Oh, it was Shearer. I was thinking about him. Yeah, fair enough. I suppose I should have thought Shearer's in the league for longer. All right, fair enough. And it was from outside the box. Wow. I'm surprised by that. I'm trying to think of outside the box goals. I mean, I suppose you got De Silva against Leicester. But there aren't many. There really aren't many. I honestly, I can't remember many Brentford goals outside the box. I suppose you've got that Tony free kick against Leeds. And you've also got that Tony chip against Leeds. Yeah, I suppose now I know the answer. It makes sense. But I really didn't remember any long-range goals. And, you know, Brentford have often been a team that I think of them as scoring set-piece goals. And it feels like they have scored most set-piece goals this season. But anyway, that's unlucky, that one. Everton West Ham, it was 3 consecutive away wins. Fair enough. I mean, but I'm sure that in 20... Hang on, let me have a little look at this, just to investigate people. Everton West Ham in the 20 to 21 season. Fair enough. Yeah, Souček got the goal. I forgot that game was a West Ham win. Yeah, that's fair enough. All right. So, yeah, 3 games away from home in a row. I mean, that's a tight one again. So, you know what? 4 out of 7. I got more right than I did wrong. That'll do me. It's a fairly, you know, marginal success rate, but it's still a success rate at that. So thanks for seeing this first part of the video. But now we're going to get into the juicy part, which is, of course, predicting match week number 8. Before I get into those, though, let's look back at how we did in match week 7. I should say match week 6. Because, of course, match week 7 was postponed. And talking of postponements, 3 games have been postponed for this week. Manchester United versus Leeds. We've also got Chelsea versus Liverpool. And it's, of course, Brighton against Palace. Now, Man United Leeds is because of the rivalry and the police that would be required for that kind of match, that security level. But due to the funeral taking place on Monday, they're going to be already using a lot of the police for that. So it's just not practical. Chelsea against Liverpool for the same reason. That's a big game, 2 big fan bases, and it's also, most importantly, in London. And then you look at Brentford Arsenal, you think, why was that not postponed? But because of the stadium capacity of Brentford, there won't need to be as much as that number of police. And also Spurs Leicester, you could argue, but I think, again, it's not as big of a game as Chelsea Liverpool, and there's not probably going to be a problem of doing one London game on each day because they can manage it that way. But, you know, for having 2 on the Sunday was going to be too much. So they couldn't have the Chelsea one. And then the main reason really for that postponement for Brighton, it originally was because of the rail strike that was due to happen. But now that the queen has died. Unfortunately for Brighton and Palace, the game should be ahead, but it isn't. They called it off because of that rail strike, but then the rail strike got cancelled. But the game is still not going ahead due to the difficulty in once you've postponed a game, it's hard to then put it back on with all the logistics and all the planning and all these things. So it's an unfortunate one, but it's fair enough, I suppose. And it doesn't look like it's, you can't have it on the Monday because of obviously the funeral. So it's just not going to fit in really. So that's fair enough. But let's look back at match week number 6 and see how we got on. These were the results in match week 6. So very interesting games. Brighton 5, Leicester City 2. Did not see that coming, I can't lie. It was a big result for Brighton. Very impressive stuff. Leicester defensively all over the shop. And I think I predicted a Brighton win, but not by that much, that's for sure. Actually, talking of which, we can have a little look at that. So let's just quickly have a little look at how we got on with our match week 6 predictions. Let me just have a look. So match week 6. Here we go. What we saying? We said, where is it? I don't think I attached it, but I'm pretty sure I know what we said. Yeah, so those were the comments. We'll get to that in a second, but yeah, 5-2, huge win for Brighton. Fair play. 3-1 Arsenal. Manchester United beat them. Anthony with the first goal. What a moment for the club. The new signing, and also a brace for Marcus Rashford. But since then, he's got injured. So, bit of a blow for United, that one. And they did win in the Europa League against Sheriff. But, they've got an interesting weekend off with that game postponed. So, they'll see if they can recharge ahead of that big Manchester derby. Everton-Liverpool, Merseyside derby was a bit of a dull one, unfortunately. I mean, it was a good 0-0. I say a dull one. There was chances both sides, mainly for Liverpool, but Salah hit the post at the end. Pickford had a very good game. Once again with that shot, he tipped onto the bar. There was just a few moments, but very few moments for Liverpool. And Everton did score actually at the end and through Connor Cody, but it was ruled out for offside. So Liverpool maybe getting away with one there, but ultimately good point for Everton, not a good point for Liverpool. Brentford Leeds 5-2, demolition job here for Brentford. Really good win. And Ivan Toney with the hat-trick. Superb. Chelsea-West Ham 2-1 is what it ended up being. And good win for Chelsea, but really they shouldn't have won that game because the goal that was disallowed from Edouard Mendy on Jared Bowen, that's just never a penalty. It's never a foul, I should say. And the keepers get protected too much at this point. So it's really poor from VAR. Bowen didn't mean to do that, and they should have just played on and allowed the corner goal. But that's VAR at the moment. It's quite frustrating. Of course, Newcastle draw against Palace 0-0. A bit of a dull one, but Nick Pope superb. Really good performance from him. And Newcastle, attackers, firing on blanks. Unfortunately, Nottingham Forest against Bournemouth 2-0 up. Forest went, and they looked okay. But it all went to pot really, and that defence started conceding with Bournemouth coming back from 2-0 down to win 3-2. Spurs Fulham, good win for Spurs. They're keeping the kind of points ticking along fairly nicely, and another goal for Harry Kane. He loves playing in London derbies, and Mitrovic again, he's unbelievable in his form. Wolves against Southampton, bit of a sloppy game this one, and sloppy from Southampton's point of view that they didn't really show much threat to Aston Villa. To Wolves. I'm getting the Midlands club mixed up. But yeah, much threat to Wolves, really. I mean, Che Adams scored, but it was offside. So you worry for him, really. He's not scoring enough goals. And that Southampton team is not winning enough games. But Wolves still, decent win. Podence with the goal. And then Villa 1, City 1. Very good win last week for Man City in that game. But this week, it was a bit of a frustrating one against Aston Villa. And, you look at that and think City should have won with the chances they had. But Villa, they dug in. Erling Haaland with the goal for City, inevitably. And a lovely cross from Kevin De Bruyne. And then the goal for Aston Villa, a fantastic strike from Leon Bailey. So, yeah, really good point for Aston Villa, that one. And that was match week number 6 all wrapped up. So let's quickly look at how I got on in my predictions, and then we will get into match week 8 very, very shortly. So then, looking at match week 8, I'm trying to find my predictions. Let me just, I might do it this way to be honest. Premier League predictions, here we go. Number 6. I couldn't remember what my predictions were, so we're just going to have a quick look at them. Here we go. So, Premier League predictions, this is what we went for. Everton 1, Liverpool 3. Well, that's unfortunate because Liverpool didn't win and they didn't score. Brentford 2, Leeds 2. Okay, got the right amount of goals for Leeds, but unfortunately not for Brentford, so still 0 points. Then we said Chelsea 2, West Ham 0. Okay, correct result, but not correct scoreline. 3 points there. We also said 2-1 to Newcastle. Nope. Nottingham Forest 2-3, and I said 2-0. So if only it just stayed how it was, that would have been bang on the money. Spurs Fulham, I thought Fulham would get a point. I've been really impressed by Fulham, but they lost the game as they did against Arsenal 2-1. So no points for me there. Wolves Saints, I said a 1-1. It was 1-0. So again, no points. Not a great week for me so far with just the 3. And then Wolves against Southampton, yeah, as I say, was wrong. And then Villa City, I said 4-0 City. A lot of shocks this week, I can't lie, a lot of shocks. And then Brighton against Leicester, we at least got the correct result for that one. It's 2-0 to Brighton, so another 3 points, up to 6. But that's where it ends, because we said 3-1 to Arsenal rather than 3-1 to United, so wrong way round. 6 points last week is really, really quite embarrassing. So we need to turn it around this week, that is for sure. But we will do that. And let's see how everyone else got on in the comment section. Here we go. So match week 6 results for the Premier League. What we saying? We had Ballum predicting a 2-0 Liverpool win. Unfortunately, that was wrong. Spurs 1, Fulham 0. Bang on the money. Well, I say bang on the money, at least for the goal difference. So 5 points there. Decent stuff. 2-0 Forest, just like me. Nope. Chelsea 1, West Ham 0. Correct goal difference. Another 5. You're on to 10. Brentford Leeds, correct result. That's 3 points there. 13. Wolves 1, Southampton 0. Bang on the money. Very good stuff. 7 points. You're up to 20 there. Newcastle Palace, wrong. City, that was wrong. Brighton 2-0. 3 points. You're up to 23. And then Arsenal against Manchester United. Goalless. Wow. Okay, that was unfortunately wrong for you. So, very good week for Ballum. 23 points. Impressive stuff. And then DK Jones, he said Liverpool to win. Wrong. Brentford Leeds, wrong. Newcastle Palace, wrong. Forest Bournemouth, wrong. He said a 2-1 Fulham win against Spurs. Wow, that's bold. But wrong. Wolves Southampton, correct result. So 3 points there. City was wrong. Brighton was correct result. So that's 3 points again. So you're up to 6. Chelsea West Ham, that's the right goal difference. So that's 5. 11 points. And then Arsenal was wrong. So 11 points for DK. But that is the winner there. Ballum, I came bottom. Ballum came top. And DK Jones came second. But let's move on to match week 8, shall we? Let's do it. So match week 8 of the Barclays, or no longer the Barclays, I should say, the Premier League. Those were the days, eh? But anyway, let's look ahead to this match week. We've got Aston Villa v Southampton on the Sky Sports Football, or Sky Sports Premier League, I should say. I believe this is a match that Aston Villa do win, because as poor as they've been, I thought that was a great point against Man City. And Southampton, I really worry about right now. They're in a bit of a slump. And, you know, they weren't great against Wolves. I can't lie, they weren't great. And I worry where their goals are going to come from. So I'm going to say Aston Villa 2, Southampton 1. Goal scorers in the game. I think the first strike of the match will actually be a goal from Southampton. And this time it's going to be a strike from none other than, yes, you guessed it, it is James Ward-Prowse. But then Aston Villa goal scorers, I'm going to say it's twice a brace. Yes, it's Leon Bailey. Then it's Nottingham Forest taking on Fulham. And in this game, I believe Fulham will get the victory. Many people will fancy Forest at home, and I agree with, there's a chance that happens, but I just think this Fulham side is looking superb under Marco Silva. They know what they're doing, they're attacking teams, they've got a game plan, and they're pressing and playing great football, and that is all based around Alexander Mitrovic, who is really banging in the goals left, right and centre. I think he's going to carry that on against a Forest side that we just saw have conceded 100 plus chances this season. They're going to be up against it, in my opinion. Forest 0, Fulham 2. And goal scorers, Alexander Mitrovic to get the first one. But then the second one for Fulham, I think will come from an unlikely goal scorer. Maybe you will say it's unlikely, but I'm just going to say it's going to happen. And it's their fullback, that's Kevin Mbabu. Moving on to the next Saturday fixtures, Wolves against Man City. This is a game I see Man City getting a victory and getting a comfortable victory. Now, they did get stopped by Aston Villa last week, but I think that was just a 1 week thing. I think City are looking strong. They did get the victory against Dortmund. However, the performance was not fantastic. But you know how good City are when they come back and when they want to show a bit more ability and quality. Not that they don't have bucket loads of it already. And Erling Haaland is yet to not score or assist this season in any game. So, Wolves fans, hide behind your sofa now because this is the time for Erling Haaland to get another goal. I'm saying Wolves 0, Man City 4, with actually 2 goals being scored by Erling Haaland, in my opinion. And then he also gets an assist. But then the main thing is that the other goal scorers are Kevin De Bruyne and Joao Cancelo. Now, Newcastle versus Bournemouth. Big game, obviously, for Newcastle's sake, really, because if they are going to be considered this kind of big club now with the money they've got, they need to be winning home games like this. Bournemouth, yes, they won last week, but they should be a fairly beatable team for this Newcastle side. And Newcastle have gone on leaps and bounds since that takeover. So the money's really helped them. But also Eddie Howe has been really good. So he faces up against his former side here. Many former Newcastle Bournemouth players as well. So should be a fascinating one. But I'm going to back Newcastle to get the victory. I'll say Newcastle United 2, Bournemouth 0. And goal scorers, I think first it's going to be a header from Fabian Schär. And then Kieran Trippier whips in a fantastic free kick to win the match for the Toonami. Now, it's Spurs facing Leicester on the Saturday Night Football, and it's live on Sky Sports. Now, this is a game that has often been filled with goals down the years, and Harry Kane is good enough to get more, because Leicester defence has been very, very leaky this season. But I do believe Leicester will score, and I do believe it will still be an entertaining game. But what is my prediction for this game? I'm predicting Tottenham Hotspur 3, Leicester City 1. Leicester City to score first, actually. And this time, the goal comes from a little bit of Jamie Vardy. Yes, that man again. Leicester do go behind, though, after goals from, first of all, it's going to be Harry Kane. Then a strike from Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. And the third Tottenham Hotspur goal, I'm going to go for a bit of a odd one. But Eric Dyer gets another goal for Spurs after he gets called up to the England squad, with Ivan Toney also getting his first England call-up. Now, talking of Brentford, what are we saying for their game against Arsenal? I believe that this game will be a very good win for neither side. Yes, I'm predicting a 1-1 draw here. I know, it's a bit of an interesting prediction, that one. But I believe that this Brentford side are really impressive on their day, and they can make teams squirm, and especially at home, they've got that home crowd behind them. They were superb against Leeds. Now, ultimately, Leeds' defence is leaky, but I still believe Brentford's attack is, fruitful. So I think Brentford 1, Arsenal 1, Brentford goal scorer Brian Mbeumo, and then Arsenal goal scorer, we're going to go for Gabriel Martinelli. And final game of the weekend, the 2:15 kickoff, it is Everton against West Ham United. Now, of course, these sides this season haven't been perfect, to say the least. West Ham got off to a very poor start with, defeats in the first 3. But then, of course, they started to put a few performances together. And, they're getting points here and there. So you kind of think it will come together for West Ham eventually. But I believe they will lose this game because, honestly, when Everton's fans get in the atmosphere at Goodison Park, it is a tough place to go to. And we saw that last week. They put a really good fight up against Liverpool, and Everton are desperate in need for a win. And I believe the man that will supply that to them is Anthony Gordon. So Everton 1, West Ham United 0. those are my predictions for match week number 8 of the 2022 to 23 season. Hope you have enjoyed. Drop your score predictions in the comment section below, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.